On December 3rd, 2019, with less than 3 weeks before the Democratic presidential debate, Kamala Harris announced that she was dropping out of the 2020 presidential race, having run out of money to fund her campaign.
So here's the deal, guys. My campaign for president simply does not have the financial resources to continue.
Not only did she run out of money, but the day she ended the campaign, her polling average in early primary states was in the tank. But to members of the media, her departure could only mean one thing.
Incredibly, as it stands today, the next Democratic debate will feature zero people of color.
The next debate, you have no black on that stage.
You're going to have 6 candidates on the stage, all of them white, 4 white males, 2 white women.
On the one hand, you had the most diverse field in history, and on the other, it's not shaping up to remain that way.
But then at the last minute, Andrew Yang qualified for the debate, but it didn't make much of a difference to the media.
Congrats on qualifying for the next debate, by the way. You will now be the only candidate of color on that debate stage.
You're the one person of color up there. What does that say about the Democratic Party?
It is the whitest stage so far, just one person of color, despite a historically diverse candidate field.
That's right, and that one candidate of color being Andrew Yang.
That's right.
But during the debate, when it was time to call on candidate of color Andrew Yang, PBS's Judy Woodruff forgot what he looked like.
Mr. Yang, what more?
I'm over here.
Mr. Yang, what more can you say
Judy.
to the American people?
Judy,
I'm sorry, Mr. Steyer. I'm sorry.
If she was really sorry, she would have let Yang answer the question since she addressed him by his name, but whatever. And of course, later on, they had to ask Yang about the fact that he's the only person of color on the stage.
The Democratic Party relies on Black, Hispanic, and Asian voters, but you are the only candidate of color on the stage tonight, and the entire field remains overwhelmingly white. What message do you think this sends to voters of color?
It's both an honor and disappointment to be the lone candidate of color on the stage tonight. I miss Kamala, I miss Cory, though I think Cory will be back.
No, he won't. Also, why do you want Booker back on the stage? This is a competition for the highest office in the land, not a monthly party where you hang out with your best buds.
And the question is, why am I the lone candidate of color on this stage? Fewer than 5% of Americans donate to political campaigns. You know what you need to donate to political campaigns? Disposable income.
But candidates of color, Cory Booker and Julian Castro, each received the required amount of individual donations to qualify for the debate. The reason they aren't on the stage is because they were lackluster candidates who couldn't hit 4% in polling. And remember that by the end of September, Kamala Harris had raised almost as much money as Joe Biden. And consider that Senator Amy Klobuchar raised half of what Harris raised. Not only was she able to qualify for the December debate, but unlike Kamala Harris, Klobuchar is still in the race. So what is Yang's solution to getting more people to donate to candidates of color? Well, I think you can guess.
The way we fix this is we take Martin Luther King's message of a guaranteed minimum income, a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month for all Americans.
Yang was so excited to talk about the freedom dividend, he forgot to talk about democracy dollars. Democracy dollars is a plan where every American gets $100 a year to give to candidates. If 250 million eligible voters took advantage of this plan, it would come at a cost of over $25 billion a year. And you don't need the freedom dividend to help fund political campaigns if you have democracy dollars. And maybe there's a reason that so few Americans contribute to political campaigns. They probably just don't want to.
I guarantee if we had a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month, I would not be the only candidate of color on this stage tonight.
People are not donating to Yang's campaign because he is a candidate of color. They're giving him money because they honestly believe that Yang will get to the White House and give them $1,000 a month. And you have a better chance of winning the lottery than seeing Yang become commander-in-chief.
Senator Sanders, you are the oldest candidate on stage this evening.
And I'm white as well.
That's not how identity politics work, Bernie.
Just to follow up, Vice President Biden, if elected, you would turn 82 at the end of your first term. You'd be the oldest president in American history.
Are you willing? Churchill.
Are you willing to commit American history?
Oh, American history.
Yes. Are you?
I was joking. That was a joke.
Okay.
It's not the only thing that's a joke.
Are you willing to commit tonight to running for a second term if you're elected next November?
No, I'm not willing to commit one way or another. Here's the deal. I'm not even elected one term yet, and let's see where we are.
So if he's elected, not only would he instantly be a lame duck president, but it also means that as early as 2022, the nation will have to start yet another Democratic presidential race. Thanks, but no thanks. And Biden isn't the only one unwilling to commit. It's very telling that his former boss, Barack Obama, won't come out and endorse his vice president. If he did, the Democratic race would be so over. And I really want him to endorse someone. I'd just love not to have to cover any more debates this cycle. So, the sixth Democratic presidential debate of the cycle started out like the rest of them, shitting on Trump. But this time, they had something specific to talk about: impeachment.
The president left the House with no choice.
Watergate, this is a global Watergate.
We have a president who is a pathological liar. We have a president who is running the most corrupt administration in the modern history of this country.
The most corrupt president in living history.
The most corrupt president in American history.
Is any wonder that if you look at the international polling that's been done, that the Chinese leader is rated above the American president?
Oh no! You mean that random people polled in other countries have a bad opinion of the United States and the president? Who gives a f***? So the biggest thing that the Democratic candidates need to overcome is the fact that the US economy is stronger than ever before. How can they convince voters that if they are elected, that things will get better and not worse?
My question to you, Mr. Vice President, is what is your argument to the voter watching this debate tonight who may not like everything President Trump does, but they really like this economy and they don't know why they should make a change?
Well, I don't think they really do like the economy.
Translation? The American people are liars. Then, Senator Elizabeth Warren was challenged on whether her policy of a wealth tax could actually hurt the economy.
How do you answer top economists who say taxes of this magnitude would stifle growth and investment?
Oh, they're just wrong.
Oh good! I was worried there for a minute. Top economists are wrong and grandma's right. Got it.
A 2-cent tax on the great fortunes in this country, $50 million and above.
But she's not being honest, because according to her ultra-millionaire tax plan, not only is there a 2% annual tax on household net worth between $50 million and $1 billion, but there is an additional annual 4% surtax on your net worth above $1 billion.
You leave 2 cents with the billionaires, they're not eating more pizzas. They're not buying more cars.
Yeah, they're likely taking that 2 cents and reinvesting. And again, Warren's plan would be to take 6 cents of every dollar over $1 billion, not 2 cents. I know that it's not cool right now to defend millionaires and billionaires, but an annual tax on accumulated wealth is stealing, not to mention very unconstitutional.
Taxes on wealthy individuals and on corporations are going to have to go up. We can also be smart about the promises we're making. Make sure they're promises that we can keep without the kind of taxation that economists tell us could hurt the economy.
On one hand, Mayor Pete Buttigieg sounds reasonable, but on the other hand,
I propose that we make college free for 80% of Americans, but it doesn't have to be free for the top.
This is a far cry from Mayor Pete's take on free college just a few months ago. Back in April 2019, in a speech at Northwestern University, Buttigieg said, "Americans who have a college degree earn more than Americans who don't. As a progressive, I have a hard time getting my head around the idea of a majority who earn less because they didn't go to college, subsidizing a minority who earn more because they did." Mayor Pete doesn't actually believe in free college, but since the progressive wing of the party is demanding it, you gotta compromise your principles. Despite Mayor Pete's flip-flop, when compared to Warren and Sanders, Buttigieg looks moderate, which is why he's been the frontrunner in Iowa. But lately, his poll numbers have started to slip, and that means he's vulnerable to attack.
So the mayor just recently had a fundraiser that was held in a wine cave full of crystals and served $900 a bottle wine. Think about who comes to that.
Lovers of wine and caves?
We made the decision many years ago that rich people in smoke-filled rooms would not pick the next president of the United States. Billionaires in wine caves should not pick the next president of the United States.
Okay, let's break this down. Warren is referring to the Rutherford Chandelier Room in Napa Valley. And you don't have to be a millionaire to experience it, as a 90-minute wine tasting only costs $125 a person. And the room isn't full of crystals, but it does have a chandelier made with 1,500 of them. And the size of that 900 bottle of wine that she's referring to is 3 liters, which is the equivalent of 4 standard-sized bottles of wine. But the way that Warren is presenting all of this makes it sound nefarious.
Billionaires in wine caves.
2 weeks before the debate, Senator Warren called Buttigieg out on his fundraising practices. But since Warren made the mistake of telegraphing her big debate attack, Mayor Pete was ready to strike back.
This is important. This is the problem with issuing purity tests you cannot yourself pass. Senator, your presidential campaign right now, as we speak, is funded in part by money you transferred, having raised it at those exact same big-ticket fundraisers you now denounce.
And he's right. According to records at the Federal Election Commission, Warren transferred $10.5 million from Senate campaign funds to her presidential campaign. Then days after the debate, the Associated Press published a story about an Elizabeth Warren fundraiser at City Winery Boston in June 2018, where donors were treated to a concert by Grammy Award-winning artist Melissa Etheridge, and where top donors were treated to a VIP photo reception, premium seating, and a souvenir wine bottle for donors who contributed $1,000 or more. Turns out that Elizabeth Warren is a hypocrite. I know you're shocked. In response to the AP story, Warren's deputy communications director said in a statement, "The event, which occurred before the presidential campaign, was held in a large public music venue, not an exclusive wine cave." Notice that the campaign neglected to address the VIP photo reception, nor did it address what was essentially a $1,000 souvenir wine bottle. But guys, it's okay. She wasn't running for president at the time. It's fake news.
Now, there's a real competition going on up here. My good friend Joe, and he is a good friend, he's received contributions from 44 billionaires. Pete, on the other hand, is trailing. Pete, you only got 39 billionaires contributing.
And according to an analysis by Forbes, Senator Kamala Harris had 46 billionaire donors, more than any other candidate. In a close second is Senator Cory Booker with 45 billionaire donors. And consider that Harris dropped out of the race and Booker's polling average is currently at 2.5%. A lot of good those billionaires are doing them. And even when a billionaire like Tom Steyer, who has spent a reported $83 million in ads, has proved that it's not pay to win. Because according to Real Clear Politics, Steyer's current polling average is 1.5%, and he's in danger of not making the debate stage in January. Womp womp. But sure, Democrats, go ahead and attack each other over perfectly legal fundraising.
We'd like to bring everyone in. We'd like to bring everyone in. We'd like to bring everyone in, but Senator Klobuchar had your hand up first. We'd like to call on you.
I did not come here to listen to this argument. I came here to make a case for progress.
Shut up, you're ruining it!
You were the only non-white candidate on the stage.
Are you concerned at all that these rules are icing out candidates of color?
Of course, you were the only minority group represented there, although you could really add women in that.
What was sort of your main point that you were trying to get out there, especially as the only person of color who has been able to make it to this stage?